Hey everyone, it's Bilar, and in this video we are going to do a layout crash course for Dried Lake, and then following the layout crash course we will do a guided walkthrough so you can see my read method for all the Dried Lake layouts in real time as I navigate the layouts myself. So, Dried Lake is a zone that has 8 layouts. However, we only really need to know 6 read methods. This is because there are 3 left hook Dried Lake layouts that you can see at the top here that essentially are the same layout. Really, the only difference is just where vol appears in terms of how far left you need to go. So with that being said, we're going to just treat them as one layout instead of 3 unique layouts. So with Dried Lake, we are always going to go directly south from the entrance, and we are going to pay attention to what happens about 2 to 3 screens south of the entrance. In 3 of the layouts, essentially, or 3 of the reads that we need to be able to recognize, you will see that you get blocked from heading to the left or west within 2 to 3 screens south of the entrance. And that can be seen sort of in the upper layouts here, like, so anything above like this half, you get blocked within 2 to 3 screens directly south from the entrance from going left or west. Now, what happens when you don't get blocked directly south 2 to 3 screens is you're able to go down pretty much like 5 screens or greater directly south, and you'll pay attention to a few things as you're heading directly south to be able to make the reads to figure out what happens with the zone and where do you need to go to find vol. So with that in mind, we're always paying attention to what happens directly south of the entrance within 2 to 3 screens, and then what happens sort of as we navigate as a consequence of what's going on to directly south. So in these upper half layouts, we're going to pay attention to position of pillars. And with these pillars, you'll see large terrain objects, and that's what I'm talking about when I say pillars. What we'll pay attention to when you can go very far to the south is essentially whether there's going to be a giant rock formation to your right as you're heading south. Now, you don't need to remember that specifically right now. That's just a brief overview. So let's get into the layouts themselves. So first, we're going to cover the 3-pillar pass layout. We will head directly south from the entrance, and then within 2 to 3 screens, we will be quickly blocked from heading left and west, and instead we'll be forced downwards and around to the right. As we're forced downwards and around to the right, you will quickly see these terrain large pillar objects. You might not see this third one over here to the right, just based on like how much of your map is revealed, but you will for sure see these 2 large pillar objects as you will pass in between them. As you pass in between them, once you can see these early pillars, you know that you're going to be in the 3-pillar pass layout. The reason why you know this is in the other layouts where you get quickly blocked, the pillars will appear later. So if they appear this early, you know it's going to be 3-pillar pass. Once you recognize that it's 3-pillar pass, you have the early pillars, you are essentially going to just keep heading along this wall in line with it downwards, and you will come across vol sort of like floating in the middle of the map here, slightly to the left. Next, we have the left hook layouts. We will head directly south from the entrance. Within 2 to 3 screens, we will be quickly blocked from heading left or west, and instead be forced down and around to the right. As we're forced down and around to the right, we will not see the early pillars, and instead, what happens is we follow this wall down and around. we will see the pillars once we're able to essentially turn left after the wall. So as soon as we get past this wall and we're able to take our first real like insignificant left in the map, you'll see pillars just to the bottom of your screen. If you see these pillars, you know you're going to be in a left hook layout. And the only difference between these three variants of the left hook layout is really how far left vol is. In one of them, the fast left, vol will essentially be like within 1 to 2 screens after you take a left. And then in the other two left hook layouts, essentially vol will be on the left border of the map. The only difference is, like, in one variant, he'll be a little lower on the left border. In the other variant, he will be higher. Either way, though, what's important to note is that essentially vol in any of the left hook layouts will always be above or north of these pillars. So if you go past these pillars in a left hook layout, you will not find vol below them at all. In the right corner layout, we will be quickly blocked within 2 to 3 screens of the entrance from heading left or west, so we'll have to go down and around to the right instead. As we go down and around to the right instead, you will not notice the early pillars, and then once sort of this wall that we've been following opens up and you're able to head to the left, you will not see the pillars as soon as the wall opens up to the bottom of your screen, and you're able to turn left. And once you fail to see these pillars, you know actually you're going to be in the right corner layout. Once you recognize you're in the right corner layout, you are going to head to the bottom right corner of the map to find vol. So that will cover all of the layouts where we get blocked quickly to the left within 2 to 3 screens of the entrance. So again, if you get blocked 2 to 3 screens within the entrance from going left or west and instead are forced down and around to the right, you're going to pay attention to the location of these pillars. If you see them early, you're going to be in 3 pillar pass. If you see them only once you're able to turn left, you're going to be in a left hook layout. And if you don't see these pillars at all, once the map opens up to the left, you don't see them in the early position, then you know you're going to be in a right corner layout. Next, we have the layouts that you are not blocked from going left or west within 2 to 3 screens of the entrance, and there are 3 layouts that do this. So instead, once we head directly south from the entrance, we'll be able to go down probably like at a minimum 5 screens before we hit the left border of the map. You'll always be able to hit the left border of the map if you don't get quickly blocked to the left or west within 2 to 3 screens of the entrance. As we head directly south for about 5 screens, we want to pay attention what happens to our right. If we see this large plateau, rock formation, giant terrain object, cliff face, however you want to phrase it, you know that you're going to be in the plateau layout. Once you identify this as you're heading directly south from the entrance and you see this large rock formation, you know you're in plateau. In plateau, vol is along the left border of the map, sort of in the bottom corner. So once you hit this left wall, you know you can just keep following it down to find vol. Next, we have wide mid-pillars. Again, we'll be able to head directly south from the entrance for about 5 to 6 screens without being blocked to the left. We'll be able to hit the left wall or border of the map, and pretty much right as we hit the left wall or border or within a screen, so pretty right away, we will see pillars again. Once we see pillars, we know we're going to be in the wide mid-pillars layout. From here, once we recognize we're in wide mid-pillars, we know that vol is going to be in the middle of the bottom border of the map. Once we recognize that, we'll be able to head essentially to the southeast and trying to angle ourselves to where we think the middle of the bottom border of the map is going to be able to find vol. Now, you can also just hug this left wall instead of trying to head directly to the middle of the bottom border. You'll still get there. You'll just have a little bit of extra navigation. Not a big deal. Next, we have narrow mid-pillars. When we have narrow mid-pillars, we'll be able to head directly south from the entrance for at least 5 screens. We'll hit the left wall or border of the map, and then as we hit the left wall and the border of the map, we won't see the large rock formation to our right, and we won't immediately see pillars. Instead, the pillars will probably be like 2 to 3 screens away. If we immediately see pillars, we're in wide mid-pillar, or if we see the large rock formation to the right on the way down south to this left wall, we know we're going to be in plateau instead. Once we identify we're in narrow mid-pillars, Vol is going to be at the left bottom border of the map, so we can just follow the left wall down. It'll be pretty simple. I mentioned this a little bit in the wide mid-pillars layout, but if you get confused between wide and narrow mid-pillars, it's not really a big deal because you can essentially, in either layout, just follow the left border down and around to find Vol. Alright, that concludes the layout crash course portion. Let's get started on the guided walkthrough. So we're going to get going with a new instance here, and we'll see what we get. So we're going to head directly south, and we're going to see what happens within 2 to 3 screens of the entrance. Here, I can sort of start getting this left block right away. So I'm going to think I'm in one of 3 layouts. I'm going to think I'm either in the early pillars, I can be in the left hook layout or a right corner layout, and I'll only be able to tell once I follow this wall down and around to the right. So as I follow this wall down and around, I don't see those early pillars right away, so I'm going to conclude that I'm not in 3-pillar pass. I'm going to see what happens once I can take this left here. If once I take the left, I see the pillars, I know I'm going to be in a left hook layout. If I don't see the pillars, I know I'm going to be in a right corner layout. So here I see the pillars, which means I'm in a left hook layout. Once I know I'm in a left hook layout, I know Vol is going to be above or to the north of these pillars, and he will be on the left side of the map, either quickly or he'll be on the left border. Somewhere in one variant, he'll be like sort of in the actual like top left of the map. In the other variant, he'll be like near the top left, but sort of a little lower, and I call that one the mid left variant. So we'll see how far left Vol is. Here, he's not at the fast one. If he's at the fast one, he'd be right here. So we're just going to keep sort of hooking left and upwards to find Vol. Little rock formation blocking us there, but nonetheless, we see that we find Vol over here, which is great. All right, this would be the mid-left variant, by the way, because he was not like in the top left corner of the map itself. Let's get a new instance going. So we will head directly south. See what happens within 2 to 3 screens. You see that I start getting blocked to the left/west, which means, again, I'm going to narrow my layouts down to one of 3 things. I'm either in 3-pillar pass, I'm in a left hook layout again, or I'm in a right corner layout. I will only be able to tell once I follow this wall down and around. I don't see the early pillars. I would have seen them by now, which means I'm not in 3-pillar pass, so we're going to keep going. Once I turn left, if I can see the pillars, which I can, I know I'm in a left hook layout again, and which one just depends on how fast Vol appears. It's not the fast Vol layout because he would have been right where I am right now. So once I have identified it's not the fast left hook, I'm just going to keep heading left until I hit the left border and then follow the left border up to find Vol. So this would be sort of more towards like the top left one, because as you can see, essentially he is at like the top, almost the top left point of the map, very, very slightly below. Like maybe this would be the true corner, but regardless, I would consider that the top left variant. All right, we'll head directly south. We'll see what happens. I get quickly blocked from heading left or west within 2 to 3 screens of the entrance. I don't see these early pillars, so I know I'm not in 3-pillar pass. I'll follow this wall down and around, and if I see pillars, once I turn left here, which I already do, I know I'm in a left hook layout again. This is not a fast Vol left hook because I'd see him right here. Once I identify that, I'm going to keep heading left until I hit the left border and just follow the left border upwards to find Vol. Perfect. Hopefully we'll get a non-left hook layout this time, since we've gotten 3 in a row so far. Okay, as I head directly south, I don't get immediately blocked within 2 to 3 screens of the entrance from heading left or west, so I know right now that I'm not in a early pillar layout, I am not in a left hook layout, and I am not in the right corner layout. Instead, I have to pay attention what happens as I head directly south from the entrance. If I don't see a rock wall to my right as I'm heading south, or like a giant rock formation slash plateau, I know that I am not in plateau. Instead, it will be either a wide mid pillars or a narrow mid pillars, and that will depend on how fast the pillars appear once I hit the left border of the map, pretty much like at least 5 screens directly south of the entrance. I don't see that large plateau, so I'm confident that I'm not in plateau. I hit the border here. I don't see pillars yet. If I see pillars, once I follow this left border down within like a screen, it's going to be wide mid pillar. If it takes like 2 to 3 screens instead, I know it's going to be narrow mid pillar. Regardless of whether it's narrow or wide mid pillar, you can find Vol by just hugging this left wall down from this point. So here I see that the pillars are actually occur pretty quickly. It's just that there's this little terrain RNG that like made them appear in a slightly different position than I was expecting. The terrain sort of like had this inner sort of thing, so I'm thinking this actually still might be wide mid pillar. If it's wide mid pillar, a Vol will be in the bottom sort of middle. If it's narrow mid pillar, he will be in the bottom left. Now, on second thought, actually, as I think about this, this might be narrow mid pillar too, because it is far away from where I hit the left border, but more so in terms of like the north-south gap rather than sort of this east-west gap. But the east-west gap can be relevant too. So honestly, just based on what I'm seeing here, I'm not super sure which of the two it is, and that will happen to you occasionally. Not a big deal, right? As I said, we can just follow left border down, so let's do that to find what's going on with Vol. So it turns out that he was in the left bottom corner, which means this was narrow. That kind of makes sense, given that this bulged inwards, and we sort of had the narrow gap, then wide mid pillar. If wide mid pillar, right, it would probably, have been wider, as the name implies. So let's go look at another instance. We'll head directly south. We get blocked within 2 to 3 screens from heading left or west. We'll follow the wall down and around to the right instead. We don't see the early pillars, so we know we're not in 3-pillar pass. We're going to pay attention to what happens once we turn left. We see these pillars right away, which means we're going to be in a left hook variant of some sort. We're not in the fast left hook, so we'll head to the left border and follow it up, and we will find Vol. Alright, directly south from the entrance again, we get blocked right away. As we head down and around, we'll see the early pillars. Right here, you can see these large pillars already. I know we're in early pillar. Once I identify, or in 3-pillar, excuse me. Once we identify we're in 3-pillar, we can just follow this wall or that we're on right now and be in line with it, and we will find Vol to our left somewhat as we follow that wall downwards. And Vol is actually right to the left here. We just weren't quite left enough to find the terrain or book icon. So as a precaution against that, right, once we get to this, we can head along that line to the south, as I mentioned, and just veer towards the left a little bit to avoid maybe not seeing the book object. Okay, What do we have here? So I head directly south. I'm not blocked from going left right away, which means I'm not going to be in the 3-pillar pass layout, a left hook variant, or right corner. Instead, I will be either in plateau, and if I'm in plateau, I'll notice the giant plateau to my right as I head south, or I'll be in narrow or wide mid pillars. So let's keep heading south to find out. I start noticing the giant sort of like rock, terrain, plateau, divot, however you want to like phrase it, formation, which means I'm in plateau. Once I recognize that I'm in plateau, I'm going to keep heading south until I hit the left border of the map. I do so here, and I'm just going to follow the left border downwards to find Vol in the bottom left corner. And there he is. Excellent. So we have seen 4 of the 6 layouts so far, which is pretty good. Let's keep resetting. All right, we'll head directly south. I get blocked to the left or west within 2 to 3 screens. I'll follow the wall down and around to the right. I don't see the early pillars, so I know I'm not in 3-pillar pass. I'm going to pay attention to what happens when I can take this left. I see pillars to the bottom of my screen, which means I'm in a left hook variant. I don't see Vol here. I'm not in fast left hook. I'm going to continue to the left border of the map, and you will see that I find Vol right away. All right, I'm going to head left from the entrance. I don't get blocked here. Kind of looked like I might have. Once I don't get blocked, I know I'm going to either be in plateau, wide mid pillars, or narrow mid pillars, and it'll depend on what I see as I head south to the left border. I don't see the large formation to the left, which means I am going to be in wide or narrow mid pillars. You can see that I see these pillars right away, sort of as soon as I hit that left border within about a screen, which means I'm pretty confident that I'm in wide mid pillars. With wide mid pillars, Vol will be in the bottom middle of the map. So once I get past these pillars, I'm just going to head to the southeast to the bottom middle where I think it'll be roughly, and you'll see that I find Vol. Awesome. So that is 5 of the 6 layouts. The only layout we're missing right now is the right corner layout. So hopefully we'll find that one pretty shortly. As we head south, we don't get blocked right away. I'm going to keep heading south and pay attention to what happens. To my right, I start seeing the large terrain object, the plateau, the divot, however, rock formation, however you want to phrase it. That means I am in plateau. As soon as I hit this left border, I'm going to follow the left border down to find Vol in the bottom left corner of the map. All right, we'll head directly south, see what's going on. I don't get blocked immediately to the left, so that means I'm in plateau, wide mid pillar, or narrow mid pillar. As I head to the south, I don't see the rock formation, so I know I'm either going to be in narrow or mid pillar. Let's see what happens. I don't see the pillars right away so far. I'm going to go south about a screen. Still don't see the pillars, which means I'm confident I'm going to be in the narrow mid pillars layout. With narrow mid pillars, I'm just going to hug this left wall down and around to find Vol in the bottom left corner of the map. And there he is. All right, we'll head directly south. I get blocked right away. I can be in 3-pillar, left hook, or right corner here. I don't see the early pillars, so I know I'm not in 3-pillar. Once I'm able to take a left, I see the pillars, which means I am in a left hook layout again. Here I see Vol right away, so this is actually the fast hook variant. This is the first time we've gotten the fast hook variant, which is great. All right, we'll head directly south. We get blocked. I'm either in early or 3-pillar pass, in left hook or right corner, depending on where the pillars are. I'm able to take a left here. I don't see pillars yet to the bottom of my screen, which finally means I am confident that we are in right corner, because I do not see any pillars yet. and I'm able to head to the left. Once I can see that I can sort of like freely head to the left, I don't see the pillars. I didn't see early pillars, and I was blocked within 2 to 3 screens from heading to the left or west. I know I'm going to be in the right corner layout, so I'm going to head to the bottom right corner of the map to find Vol. And again, since this is the first time that we've encountered right corner, as I come down within 2 to 3 screens, I'm blocked to the left. I don't see the early pillars right here. And then once I can head sort of to the left, or the map opens for me to head to the left, I don't see the pillars to the bottom of my screen. That'll indicate to me that I am in the right corner layout, and I will head to the bottom right. All right, so that is all the layouts in the Dried Lake. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful.